Hi, how's it in the name of Jesus? How you doing? Seriously? Like, there's like a mosquito on my eyelash. Anyway, hi, how's it in the name of Christ? How you doing? It's your girl. Let's start again. Hi, how you doing in the name of Christ? How you doing? It's your girl Cake Karabo. I hope you're good. I hope you're peachy. I hope you're Stella, and I hope you're in a neat little bunch. If you're not, welcome to the party. It appears that's just the general status quo of what we're doing over here. You guys, life is rough, like proper. It's just ridiculously rough. Whoa, when are people gonna stop doing strange things? Anyway, let me put some caveats out there. Kindly look out for my captions down below, or up tops, but highly likely down below. They are not always accurate. They sometimes use a small g for God, so they're not very reverential. Top of that, they're sometimes the wrong word, misspelled, just weird stuff. Well, it's because I use an automated captioning software that just spews them out and I don't have time to edit them. But if you want to see edited captions, go to my shorts. You'll enjoy a nicely, accurately interpreted thing there. Until such time that I get my life in a neat bunch, I'm not about to go and spend hours on hours just editing captions on CapCut. Anyway, moving on. Next thing, I may or may not be wearing application makeup. No. Again, I'm making a decision today. I'm not gonna wear app makeup. I have to make myself feel normal, if you know what I mean. Yeah, and if I'm always wearing makeup, I might just feel ugly without it. So let's just keep the makeup off for now. And then I have a segment. I'm only human after all. 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 Don't take a jab at me, cause then you're gonna have some problems. That's what's good. God is gonna ransack you. I'm just kidding, except no, I'm already kidding. It's a fact. Anyway, boom. I'm trying to blush my cheeks just in case you were wondering, so that you can realize that when you prick me, I bleed. When you stab me, I'll probably die. When you slap me, I'll probably scream. And when you hurt me, I'll probably be like, "But why'd you do that?" But people don't seem to care about the fact that I'm human. Anyway, whatever. Yeah. Moving on, today is the 11th of March 2024. 'Tis a strange day. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. No, we're not singing today. We're not doing that. Okay, cool beans and bananas. I don't really know. My body was exhausted like the whole day. I have not been working out, you guys. Anyway, we don't really know what that's gonna achieve in the end, okay? But I do want to go back to workouts. I probably do. Just don't know when. Ish. May the Lord restore me. Amen. But it makes it especially taxing when I'm fasting, because right now I'm fasting. I'm still fasting because, I don't know, I just don't feel like it's time to stop. We'll see when we stop. Anywho, anyhow. But like so much random rubbish in the street. It's like hopping up and down like a kangaroo. It's got no brakes, so it keeps on going straight, and I'm not interested that I should continue to be a part of its life. But it's in my life, so because it's in my life, I gotta make war with it. That's the thing. When you put people in some kind of a Hunger Games arena, if they don't play, goodness gracious, they die. So I'm playing. However, the tables are about to turn, you guys, where it is that it's going to be you that are playing the Hunger Games, and then you're gonna be like, oh snap, I wish I hadn't put Karabo through that, but I did, cause I was that gangster. So, seeing as you don't want to do a better thing, it's all good in the hood. I've been warning you. My body is exhausted. I feel as if though I've been exsanguinated, like blood has been drunk from my jugular and I can't breathe. But with all that, I'm still given energy. God keeps on defibrillating me. I work so much. I don't know when that's gonna stop, but it's alright, okay? The Bible says that, gaze at the ant, you sluggard. Look at how she gathers all of her food at harvest time, even though she ain't got no master. You better look at the ant and study her ways. So, I'm the ant. Amen. Study my ways. But I'm dealing with people who are ant eaters. What in the world? You know that stuff with that vacuum nose? Out here eating some ants. My enemies are like ant eaters. They're trying to make me stop working. Why would I do that? Where else am I gonna go? This is my little baby. I done built it. It's not even mine, it's Christ's. And seeing as it belongs to the Lord, it's literally not going anywhere. 10 for the price of 1. It's all very humiliating, the fact that there's anybody trying to do that out of me. Baba tla go nyadisa, that's the one struggle. And then on the other struggle, Baba tla go nkwitisa, they want me to marry some stranger that I don't like or make me quit. And I'm like, this is what we're gonna do. Rather, like not that. There we go. Thank you very much. I'm just gonna carry on. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. This is ridiculous. You know why? Because where else would it be? Where else would my mouse be? Wait, where's my mouse? Ugh. Oh no, no, no. 1 minute. I don't even know how my mouse got to the other side of the world, but I found it. Just like y'all threw me to the Antarctic Circle, but Jesus found me. You know, when there's like a punch in the knee, in the leg, and in the jugular, because you're just getting punched in these streets. That was my line. It's a punch, but not the alcoholic beverage at high school festivals. Okay. Clearly we watch too much American television. Okay guys, I'm sorry, I'm doing captions. Not captions, what you might call this thing. I'm doing edits all at the same time, so it's already hectic actually, my edit doing. I just want to find the right little neat cutie pie of like a template for my captions, and then once we have that, we're gonna be staring longingly and lovingly into your eyes. Anyway, whatever. I'm back. I'm exhausted, y'all. I can think of better days. I can't help but sing, like, what is wrong with me? I can think of better days. It's because all this music is all up in my grill. Anyway, whatever. It's alright. It's alright. And it's okay, it's all peachy this very day. It's gonna rise, it's gonna fall, but then you are gonna stand tall in the middle of it. It's alright, it's okay, but don't nobody care that it's alright and okay, yeah. But it's gonna be so cool when we see that we were given victory. It's all good in the head. I'm gonna come back to you guys just now. I'm just doing edits and I can't multitask. It's not my special talent. Apparently, allegedly, women got that down. Then I guess I'm different, since people have been treating me like a man by leaving me to drown. Okay, whatever, we're done. We're here now. We'll see here. Okay, Hunger Games Arena. May the odds be truly in your favor. And I'm like, you know what, it's alright, like, it's okay. Do a better thing. But if you don't want to be different, if you don't want to be separate, you don't have to be separate, okay? But like, no guys, I'm not going to be patronized. Listen, I don't know how many times I have to say this. I'm being frustrated by evil men, and some of them I don't even know them. However, there are others that I do know. Like the guy from America, a little bit of a nitwit, but I'm dealing also with men I don't know. I don't know them, and it's Joe. It's strangers. They're experimenting, and I don't know what they hope. It's like the occult is dedicating their interests to marrying me off to some strange guy, like especially one in the occult. My thing is, y'all, I'm smart, okay? That's like it, man. I struggle to write out obtuseness. I really do, and I find involvement in black magic obtuse. There's no intelligence in it. I apologize. How can I say this? Do you know that it's generally statistically inferred that crimes in society or disorder or terror in societies largely is committed by simple minds? Every so often, yes, you do get the sophisticated criminal, but largely, especially blue-collar crimes that don't require much planning, tend to be the work of simple minds. Even hard knock, sophisticated, intelligent drug lords, or basically, you know, little kings of empires that are that are dark, dingy, like unwholesome, not beneficial to society or whatever. They tend to minimize casualties as best as they possibly can, and that's how they don't get caught for very long. But once they start to become simple-minded, they become terroristic, murderous, and that's how they get caught. Theft and carelessness with people's lives, tactlessness for the thriving of societies, is the work of simple men, okay, guys? Because there is just no wisdom in shattering where it is that you eat. You can't defecate where you eat. And for me, witchcraft is just this criminal behavior where people just defecate where they eat. They mess with their own friends, family members, countries. They destroy them utterly. It's this place of ill-gotten gain, and if an intelligent person involved in this stuff does not eventually walk away because they've seen how dumb it is, all that it says is that witchcraft takes people and makes them simple. They lose their ingenuity. I mean, I've listened to testimonies of people who gave the futures of their children, their little children that are still in high school and primary school, to the occult so they can gain prosperity. What kind of a parent does not want to watch a child thrive? It's literally the crown of glory on the head of a mom and a dad for their kids to succeed. It says I've done well. But people in the occult are just so desperate for ill-gotten gain that they will squander the future of children. But these kids won't know that their futures have been squandered until they walk in what would be misfortune later on. Mom, dad paying fees out here for children at varsity, knowing that this kid is going to struggle to succeed in life. So you're just wasting your money on a child that you have set up for failure. You've pulled the rug from underneath her feet before she can even go anywhere in life. So when the kid is meeting with brick walls, you know it's you, but like, of course, you'll never confess it. And there is this testimony that I listened to of a man who squandered her daughter's prospects for marriage. Basically, the contract that he entered into had it such that his daughter would be married off in this contract to some satanic beast. That's what they are. This girl was still just a baby at the time, and the dad was willing to just give his daughter's future to a devil worshipper. She was wed off in some ceremony, and as the years progressed, beautiful young woman, successful in everything that she does. Every relationship she would enter into would just fall apart, and it would never ever result in marriage. And she would go to her dad on some, dad, you know, I don't know what's going on, I don't know what's going on. Like, things are just not working out for me in this particular department. I'm so successful everywhere else, but like here, I can't. And the father's like, hey, my daughter, just wait. You'll see what happens. And one day's one day. And then he ended up feeling guilty. He ended up feeling bad, wanting to break the contract because he could see that his daughter strongly had a desire to get married and have children and what have you. My thing is, how in the world are you not able to see that you're going to get to a point where you're sad that your daughter did not get the children and the husband that she wanted? Like, I don't know, like, why don't you wince at this ill-gotten gain? Whatever. Okay, let's just move past that. These are the things that people in the occult do. They are not without guilt. Is it criminal law? In culpable homicide, there is something called the reasonable man test, basically to gauge if at all somebody was culpably responsible for ending the life of another person. I actually know of a person from back in the day that my sister knew that I guess was acquitted of the charge of culpable homicide for hitting a guy on the highway at night while he was driving. And, you know, charges of culpable homicide were brought to him, but then he did not get incarcerated because it was not provably beyond it's not about beyond a reasonable doubt. Sorry, that would be the other kind of crime. But with culpable homicide, it is about the reasonable man. It basically goes along the lines of, could the reasonable man, sober and rational in his mind, have foreseen that something could happen? Could the reasonable man have foreseen that something could happen? And if at all it can be tested successfully true that this person, being reasonable, could have foreseen it, they then go to prison for culpable homicide. They get judged for it. They get prosecuted accordingly. So if something could have been foreseen as a possibility in the long run by a rational, reasonable person, that human being, upon not eradicating all the events that would bring about this unfortunate eventuality, was irresponsible on that day. He was negligent, and so therefore culpably responsible for killing a person. And witchcraft, for me, the crimes committed therein are culpable largely because the people do not anticipate not anticipate, please, I'm not like, that's not the right word, but they do not plan for certain things to happen. They do not go and cast a spell to kill a person. They don't cast a spell sometimes to destroy an entire future, an entire career. They don't cast a spell to cause a person to commit suicide per se. But the reasonable man should be able to foresee that if you thwart the prospects of a person's fulfillment of purpose on the earth, that they might, as a result of feeling like they've got nowhere else to go and nothing else to do, so it's over, actually commit suicide. So when victims of witchcraft commit suicide, they have been culpably murdered by their perpetrators. Witches are responsible for killing people, friends, family members, from suicides, perhaps heart attacks, maybe even a bar fight. Like some time ago, years actually, maybe 5, 6, 7, whatever, I was in this pain, this sorrow, but it was earlier on. The Lord gave me a dream about a friend of a person that has also afflicted my life. Okay, I knew this person. The person in question that afflicted my life also knew this person. This person was the friend of the person that afflicted me, but to me that individual was more of an acquaintance. I met that human being through this person, through this other person. This guy was a whole, like, I think maybe honors, if not master's level graduate in the field of finance. He went to school with, not school, sorry, but like he was in the same industry at some point in the beginning of their careers as analysts with my older sister. And I had a dream of this guy. The person in question was an ex-boyfriend, okay? Yeah, and I had met this other guy through that boyfriend of mine because he was my boyfriend's friend. At the time, he was my boyfriend, he was my boyfriend. So I met him essentially through my man, just as some dude. And then I came to learn later on that this man knows my sister because they were in the same industry. Yeah, they were both analysts at like one of these firms for finance in the country. And so it was all a nice little coincidence when we found out that we all knew each other, if you know what I mean. Cool guy, great dude, you know, just doing his thing. Anyhow, I had a dream of, so he was like a hard knock academic. My sister is a hard knock academic, alright? And this guy was no different. He was a responsible dude, very successful, very young, and he had a bright future. And I got a dream, and all it was a dream. I could not validate or confirm what I saw in my dream because I did not know that guy's surname to find out if this did indeed happen to him. I also was not even trying to find out if this is true because it was just too taxing and there was just too much going on in my own life for me to try and find out what's going on. And to this day, I don't even want to ask my sister what happened to, let's say his name was Tepo. How's Tepo? Because my sister and I don't have a relationship anymore. Like, people have just hurt me, okay? So it would be weird for me to just ask how's Tepo, especially considering Tepo was not my friend, just an acquaintance that I met through my boyfriend that also just so happened to know my sister. So for me to ask about this guy would just be weird, all right? And plus I don't want to know because I'm dealing with enough on my own. But let me just tell you the dream. In the dream, here's this academic, right? So in waking life, he's very responsible. He was this great guy that was just normal, okay, and responsible. You would not find him in certain environments. He was not violent or whatever. In my dream, this guy was in some sport or shebeen, like a very hard knock, low income, ghetto type drinking spot. Like shebeen, sport though. First thing that just did not suit the living daylights out of him that I saw in my dream. He was Kospotongo Kasi. He was in a shebeen in the ghetto. Like I said, unlike him. Uncharacteristic of him in waking life at all. And he was drunk, inebriated out of his mind, and he looked disheveled. Like, he was a very well put together guy, one of those that they call a metrosexual, neat, always smells good, good cologne, good aftershave, hair's always cleanly shaven type guy. And in this dream, he was disheveled. His hair had grown out. It's like he had these Rice Krispies little mini afro that was just not combed in like forever, okay? He was just disheveled, like his shirt was basically flying, like, you know, just falling off his shoulder. And he was calloused, like his face, his skin looked like it hadn't been taken care of for a minute. Like there was lots of like his skin was black, like dark, like he hadn't bathed in a while, and so all of that skin that is unexfoliated was just calloused, chilling on the surface and not being washed off. Anyway, this guy was in this pub bar, Shebin Kukasi, an environment that did not suit him, drinking, inebriated, drunk, and then he got into a bar fight with somebody that was at some point in his life that human being would have been regarded as beneath him. There are just people you don't mess with. You don't poke and prod away at them because you can tell they're crazy. Like, you don't just go to the local tsotsi, the local little gangster, and just provoke him, especially when he's always high on chibuku, drinking bampa. Like some dude that's always on the kasi, like some dude that everybody knows is a no-brainer in the ghetto. When you are a put-together guy, you don't go out of your way to pick a fight with a person like that. If they braze your shoulder, you just say sorry and you move on. You don't humor them, especially when you know that they're kind of violent. And this guy, essentially, hey, what do you want? This guy essentially got into a fight with a person that under normal circumstances he would have just walked right by, ignored, not paid him any mind. He got into a fight with this violent little kasi dweller, this little rodent that's always just scrummaging around in pipes in the ghetto, alright? And he pulled out a little knife. You know, people who indeed walk around with like knives. Yeah, like, you know, when you are so gentrified or a little bit of a snob, like just a little, like I told you, metrosexual guy, you don't walk around with knives, pocket knives, like the okapi, like no. You don't think that you would need one. That's the kind of life set apart for certain people that are into gangbanging. Like they fear that if somebody might just come at them from behind and stab them because their lives are like that. Their lives every so often warrant a jack-in-the-box pouncing on them from out of nowhere. Yeah, but like when you're not used to living a life like that, you don't just walk around with an okapi. You don't just walk around with a knife. You don't. Yeah, and so this dude entered into a fight with some little rodent from the kasi that pulled out a knife and stabbed him to death. Like stabbed him to death in my dream. He passed away. And after he died, the dream then went to a scene where my ex-boyfriend was being told that his boy had passed away. And the details were explained that he was in some bar pub and he got killed by some random gangster there that pulled out a knife because of a misunderstanding and altercation. And he was so ashamed of himself, my ex-boyfriend, in my dream. He was so ashamed of himself because he knew that, first of all, he didn't even go to the funeral. He was embarrassed and ashamed of himself enough to not even want to go to the funeral, but his wife went because his wife knew the guy too and was wondering, but why aren't you going to the funeral of Tepo? We both know him. And he was like, no, I'm busy. I can't make it, but I'll go to the parents or whatever to Tirisa or something. He made an excuse. He did not go to a funeral that his wife went to. And this guy, the woman knew him from back, they all grew up together, right, in the same hood type thing. It was not like she was introduced to him through him. They were all part of the same youth growing up. So she went, and especially considering her sister was at some point spazzing hard over this guy. Her sister was crushing over this guy. She liked him. So when he passed away, the sister was bereft, and so she was going to go and support her sister in mourning the death of her sister's former crush or whatever type thing. Plus, it was just a friend that everybody knew. So everybody that was supposed to go to this funeral went. That's what I'm getting at. Except for my ex-boyfriend in my dream. And I saw him being ashamed of himself, holding his head, like chilling on a couch in the house on some thinking. This was his thought process in my dream. He was thinking, if I did not do to him what I did to him, he would not have been in that environment. He would not have ended up like that. He would not have drunk himself to a stupor. He would not have lost his career. As a result of losing everything, started drinking, and then started hanging out in environments that he never used to frequent, and so find himself in a position to have a fight with some person that is just not to be paid attention to at all, and then get killed. He thoroughly understood basically the reasonable man test. My ex-boyfriend in my dream, being a reasonable man, foresaw that this is something that could happen, and indeed after the man died, his guilt was so exorbitant that he couldn't even go to the funeral because he understood that while he did not cast spells on this guy to die, he put him in a position to be somewhere where he could easily die. He would not have drunk himself to a stupor. He would not have thrown himself in that environment if everything did not just crash and burn. It's like this guy's life was blocked and thwarted so badly with sorcery that he lost everything and ended up hanging out in places that don't suit him, and then got killed in a bar fight, like ending up in a halfway house dead from a drug overdose because you were using drugs to manage or cope with the fact that you lost your job, you had nothing else to do, and they made you feel better. People were not trying to make you a junkie, but you became one because you lost everything. So the reasonable man test in culpable homicide has it such that you are culpably responsible for having committed murder. If at all, you could have foreseen that this situation could result in what it is. So if you cast spells on people and they lose everything, you should foresee that this could result in suicide. You should foresee that this could result in drug use, alcohol habits. You should foresee that this could result in loss of family, divorces between husbands and wives, even though all that you were planning was to, minimize the prosperity of somebody at work. But when a man loses a job, sometimes women get nice and shallow and they divorce. So you did not plan a divorce, but like it happened. You are culpably responsible for that divorce. And if that divorcee, in all of his misery, decides to go and commit suicide because now there's nothing left for them anymore, you're also culpably responsible for that suicide. The test that was used was some case, right? I studied it when I was doing first year law at Wits. Some case of a man that was hunting. He wasn't hunting. What was he doing with a gun? Again, whatever. This man was shooting his hunting rifle onto the surface of the water, trying to make the bullet ricochet on the surface of the water. And he was just basically having fun, shooting a gun, watching the bullet do that on the water, ricocheting. And one of his bullets reached the other side of the river and actually shot a person to death. Like somebody died on the other side. And he was found guilty for culpable homicide. Why? Because a reasonable man ought have foreseen that a ricocheting bullet could travel so far. That a ricocheting bullet could travel so far so as to reach the bank on the other side of the river and shoot dead somebody that's sitting there. He should have been able to foresee that could happen because of the speed of a bullet. It can, if you slice it and dice it and bounce it on some water, kill on the other side. So he went to prison for culpable homicide. The guy who was my sister's friend that killed the guy on the highway that was crossing, he was not found culpably responsible for that death. So too, there's also a celebrity in this country, I forgot her name, Dinawa Ranaga's sister. She unfortunately killed a high school student. Similar story, crossing the street, and she hit her and she passed away. She was acquitted of culpable homicide. Why? Because the reasonable man cannot possibly foresee that a person would cross a highway that has no robots, has no pedestrian crossing, has no way for people to cross. It is, if anything, the law that you should not cross the highway. So when you get hit by a car, whether it's at night or during the day, traveling within the speed limit up to 120 kilometers an hour, when you kill a person in this state, you can't possibly have foreseen that upon driving on the N1 highway to Pretoria at 120 kilometers an hour, that somebody's just going to cross the road and you kill them. You can't foresee that. So you're acquitted of the charge of culpable homicide on that day. But if you are driving at that 120 kilometers an hour on Hendrik Potgieter in a 60 kilometer zone and somebody crosses where there's like plenty of robots, then you are culpably responsible for killing that individual. You get my point? Yeah. So if at all you can't foresee it, on that day you're not responsible. And witchcraft is culpable homicide. I literally cannot say that enough. Witchcraft is culpable homicide because people who do this ought foresee the myriad of consequences of their actions. They ought foresee what could potentially happen. When you cast a spell on a person's prospects for career so that they don't get promoted, you ought foresee that they could lose their job altogether because you're manipulating people. That's what happened with me. Nobody planned for me to be nowhere. Nobody planned for me to lose my whole career. Nobody cast spells on me to basically just cease to have any purpose in life. They all did little mini spells where they were like, thought Karabo, make sure that she doesn't get very far. You see, that's the thing about imagining yourself a decent human being while being a witch. Like, you tell yourself that you're going to control the person's life, plan their plans, and because you think you're a decent human being, you then basically tell yourself that there's only so much that I'm prepared to do through sorcery and not more. You think you're better than the person that does a human sacrifice ritual, when all you do is just thwart your best friend's career. You think you're better, but you're all doing the exact same thing. With me, they were just trying to thwart my success in the jobs that I was working. With marriage, okay, there is a person that actually cast spells on me to make sure that I don't marry at all. But most of the spells against romance with me were not so much make sure she doesn't marry, but they were make sure she doesn't marry right. I've had spells cast on me by people in my family and also in his family, trying to get me back together with my ex after I left him. My ex, after I refused to get back together with him, cast spells on me, not so much that I must never get married, never fall in love, never be okay, but rather that I must not be with somebody that is better than him. He was trying to thwart my joy and make himself appear better. That's what he was trying to do. My former best friend was trying to make me settle for something that does not suit me, like some divorcee with like 7 kids or whatever. Just don't be happier than me. A lot of my friends were doing that. There's only one person that I can think of from very early on that didn't want me married at all for selfish reasons, and I shall not highlight who that is. There's one person only, but the rest of them were thoroughly just trying to make me marry badly. Well, they ought have foreseen that when you expect me to marry but not so well, what you are likely potentially going to achieve is abuse in my life. If at all you don't want me marrying well and happy in love, what are the potential alternatives to happy in love? Abused. They ought have foreseen that I could attract gangsters, violent men, gender-based violence monsters that keep on shooting a woman 20 times after she passed away from the 3rd bullet. They ought have foreseen that they will draw to me entitled men that, despite testing positive for HIV, will insist on taking me because they know how to use witchcraft. Persistent men who are forceful, who will take a woman by any means necessary. The scum of the earth, the very bottom of the barrel of men in society. You ought foresee, when you cast spells against your friend to not marry right, that you would attract that bottom of the barrel to her. So the reasonable man therefore ought foresee that the gender-based violence epidemic in South Africa is causally connected to witchcraft and people thwarting romantic prospects for their friends and family members, attracting therefore the scum of the earth and the bottom of the barrel to women that would have under normal circumstances not even attracted these men. They put people in abusive relationships. They make women consider feasible dating certain kinds of men when they wouldn't have been interested in them before. Just the fact that I humored an ex-convict that was set free out of prison not because he did his time, but because coronavirus slapped the planet. And I was prepared to listen to him only because my life was so hard and he spoke so much Christianese that I imagined that Christ rescues prostitutes and tax collectors, so this guy is a recovered prodigal son. Despite all the warning bells that he wasn't even saved, and so the criminal that he was then, he's still it today. There was so much evidence that he wasn't saved, that he was never transformed. But I ended up running with that. And now 2 years down the line, I am severely abused by an entitled man that keeps on going back to the drawing board with witchcraft, trying to kill me. And one of the biggest things that has drawn this monstrous man from California all up in my grill is sorcery that is operating that makes men like those feel as if though I will take you whether or not you like it. They tend to like women in weakness. This guy in America is not the only one that's doing this to me. There are men that are complete strangers. I don't know them, but I am aware that they're targeting me. And I don't know how they intend to come into my space, whether they're going to drop me a direct message on Facebook or what, in order to test if their witchcraft is going to work. But they're violent men, and they're not just violent, but they're entitled. They are the kinds of people that I would not have looked at back in the day, but they've been drawn to me by sorcery because there is something in operation right now that is drawing a certain kind of man to me. Why? Because spells were cast to make sure I don't marry well. You have got to foresee that when you say of a woman that she's not going to marry well, you're not only increasing the risk of Some dude with 20 baby mamas in these streets that could give you a disease. You're not only drawing to this woman some dude that's gonna cheat on her and make her life a living nightmare. Because those are the things that make men bad, right? Guys that cheat, guys that are busy making babies all over the show, guys that aren't all that attentive, guys that are not, what's the word that I'm looking for? They don't dote, they're not romantic. Like, yeah, like a guy that's kind of emotionally absent. Yeah, that's a bad marriage. That's a bad guy. That's not comfortable to be with, but it's not dangerous. A guy that keeps on making babies with 20 women in these streets, the most danger I guess he will endure you through is bringing you an STD, but he's not dangerous in the sense that he could kill you. So then manufacturing that kind of ecosystem environment around a woman to bring a bad man, you are putting in the bucket of what pool of men could come to her also so bad that he could kill you. So bad that he could kill you, like literally so bad that he could stab you 10 times. So bad that he could shoot you 27 times despite having passed away from the second bullet. So bad that he could clobber you, like slap you, like throw your body like a rag doll against some walls. That also qualifies as unhappy in love. That also qualifies as unhappily married. It's not just the cheat that is the problem to women, don't you see? It's the wife beater. And I have been afflicted by wife beating mongrels that would also likely kill me if I ended up with them. But my former best friend did not try to get me pushed around, like kicked around like a soccer ball and thrown on the wall like a rag doll by my husband. She was just trying to get me to be unsatisfied with an emotionally absent douchebag. Some dude that would much rather watch television other than stare longingly into my eyes. Some guy that's going to tell me I'm busy every time I want to talk to him, when I want to embrace him, when I want to touch him, tell me that I want chesa. Some dude that's just kind of aloof, but really his hand, no, it's not going to be here. That's not happening. All they saw was the absent-minded rando that comes home at 11 p.m. at night, despite having promised that he's going to bring home pizza at 7 p.m. That's all they saw. That's all they were hoping for in their bad witchcraft. Men that would cause me to go gossip with my friends how my husband is just the bane of my existence. But you're just crying about some dude that's doing a strange thing, but certainly not basically killing you. That's what they foresaw. But you see, a reasonable woman should have foreseen that in the cocktail of character flaws that could dwell in a man that's not going to be satisfactory to Karabo could be a gender-based violence beast, like an animal of prolific proportions that could actually kill her. My ex-boyfriend did not see that. He was not heavy with the hand. He was not verbally or physically abusive, even in the slightest. So if at all he wanted me to end up with a guy that's not as great as him, he's basically saying anything goes that I did not have. If I didn't slap you, then he might. But he didn't really want me to be with a guy that could kill me. He just wanted me to be with a guy that was aloof, not responding to my text messages after 2 hours of writing him. A guy that would make some other chick pregnant out there in the streets and somehow prosper to come back into my life despite that feat. Yeah, a guy that would do stuff like that, like typical issues that women experience when they're not abused, just emotionally neglected. That's what this man hoped what would come into my space. But with his one witchcraft spell, he caused me to get gazed upon by some of the scummiest men on the planet. Because look at one from California all the way in the USA, all up in my grill. The scummiest men on the planet want me. And they feel like I am a feasible thing to be grabbed because all people's witchcraft combined in one little cesspool of nonsense in a cauldron, okay, has produced unemployment of a relatively decent woman, really beautiful, and disregarded by an entire planet of souls that should be loving her. And so I'm offering you money, just take it. I'm offering you marriage. Aren't women just obsessed with the idea of getting married? Like when a guy looks at you, like just take whatever I give you because no one cares for you. Yeah, when you're being looked at like that, of course you would find it disgusting. But these people, a psychopath is a psychopath is a psychopath. A sociopath is a sociopath is a sociopath. When a person has got a psychosis, when there is some kind of a neurological disorder going on mentally in them, they don't see just how ridiculous it is for them to rock up and look at a woman like, why are you saying no? Like, it doesn't dawn on them that it's just rude. Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't want you. There's no simplicity in no to such people as these. Nothing but entitlement dwells in their bones. And so because nothing but entitlement and a strange sociopathy that is megalomaniacal within its own rights, feeling like it ought to be that way, there's no negotiating with that. So at this point, all I can talk to, or all who I can talk to, are those that put me in a position to be looked at by people with whom nobody can negotiate. No one can talk to them because they're that crazy. Because there are people like that on earth, unfortunately, that despite being made in the image of God, they just don't have minds. They've lost them. They're demon possessed. There is a dissonance. I don't know. Like there is, I never studied criminal psychology. I just don't know what happens in the minds of people that are that far gone in terms of reasonability. All I know is that never in my life did I ever imagine I would be fleeing from a couple of them because people put me in a position to suffer at the hands of such dastardly men. They are ludicrous to even think it's possible for me to look at them, but nonetheless, they're all up in my grill and they're wreaking so much havoc in my life. You have caused me, conglomerate of decent witches, because you think you're decent. You have caused me to be pursued by dastardly witches. You have caused me to be pursued by crazy witches. Those that are apparently unsanctified in their sorcery. There was a story that I was listening to on YouTube about some guy in Iran who went to a sorcerer, right? I think I was listening to it on Tom Hughes' channel, Hope for Our Times. He went to a sorcerer and asked the sorcerer to make him invisible so that he could steal money from people, so he could rob a bank. And nobody would know that he did that because he would be invisible. He then went into a bank and just started grabbing money out of people's hands. He was quickly pinned down to the ground by a whole bunch of people because what are you doing? He was never invisible. But that's the kind of sorcerer that is dastardly. That is the kind of witchcraft consulter that is silly and stupid and not rational and can't therefore be taken seriously even in the slightest. How in the world are you that daft so as to imagine that witchcraft can make you invisible? Enough to make you go into, to cause you to be unseen in a bank where you're just going to take money and people are going to see money disappearing from their hands and not know what happened over there. That's crazy. And some of y'all imagine yourselves better witches than that. You think you're rational, you think you're reasonable, you think you're sober enough to not dare go to a sangoma and ask to be made invisible so you can steal money from people at a bank, so you can rob a bank. You think your witchcraft is white collar instead of blue collar. You think it's gentrified, and so it has a little less ornate shows of destruction. It's less ostentatious, so therefore you are a gentrified witch, a better witch, a white collar witch. A white collar witch. Yeah, you think you're a white collar witch because you do not do strange things to that degree. But whether or not you're white collar or blue collar, bottom line is you're still a witch. And within your kingdom, there are blue collar witches that just do strange things that are, they're naive. They literally overestimate the power of their sorcery until they walk into a bank and rob it, thinking they're invisible, and then they get pinned down by clients in the bank. In your kingdom, there's the white collar and the blue collar. And all of y'all white collar witches literally send charging like a stampede in the wilderness blue collar witches on your victims. You charge us like a stampede in the movie Jumanji, with idiots that think they can rob a bank invisible because they paid a sorcerer to make them invisible. You have caused me to get lambasted by blue-collar witches across the world who imagine they can get anything and everything using sorcery. The guy in America, after we broke up, one of his first spells was to age me overnight, make me look closer to the age of 40. So I was supposed to just rock up one day in my YouTube channel looking nice and geezerfied. I was supposed to have those crow's feet. I was all of a sudden supposed to have all different kinds of age signs on my body because he cast a spell. That's blue-collared trash. It's substandard. It's mediocre and amateur witchcraft. And there are people who think it actually works. This man expected to rock up on YouTube one day and find me looking nicely aged. The guy in America tried to make me look closer to my age, 40. Yeah, but there are other people on YouTube, online, that I don't know. The guy in America, after he cast that turn her 40 spell and it didn't work, he stopped trying. But ever since then, I have been attacked by a flood of blue collar, dastardly randoms, okay? Just these beastly, canyonic messes. The way that Ndefela is just a vortex in their souls. It's a vortex, a canyon, and it's twisting like a hurricane. These vortexes of mere mortals have been casting spells on my face, trying to make me never mind age to the age of 40. But I've seen myself in a dream where I woke up in the morning, in my dream, with, oh guys, that, yes, like it. Like, I not only had crow's feet that appeared whether or not I was smiling, they were just permanently there, but I had, you know, those lines that come down the face here that you tend to see in much more advanced years of people. Like, yeah, proper lines here. My cheeks drooping, and me having, what do they call jowls? Sagging jowls. I had sagging jowls. And my skin was sunken, and I had crow's feet that were visible, straight-faced without even smiling. And then those ones that frown over here. And then I had creases all across, like 11s, you know, the 11s, and the ones that you get across here. I had all those wrinkles on my face. I aged what looked like 20 years. I woke up and I looked in the mirror, and I was broken-hearted to see all that aging on my face over freaking night. I woke up in the morning in my dream, and I looked in the mirror that is in front of me right now, and I had all that aging. I don't even have crow's feet. Smiling. I don't have them yet. Haven't gotten there. The Lord has preserved me, and I'm grateful for that. He will, of course, preserve me because I'm not married. I don't have children. I haven't done anything because people have thwarted me. I keep saying that if you guys want me to age, let me go and have my children. If you want me to age, let me go and get married, because God is going to give me what I asked for in prayer. I wanted to be a beautiful bride, so I'm still going to look 20-something on my wedding day. Is that basic? I'm not aging because God has preserved me thanks to you freezing me in place. But I have had some pretty blue-collar random buffoons on the internet cast spells to age me overnight, like as in 20 years older overnight. My question is there anyone they've ever succeeded to do that to? Is there anyone that they have bewitched to age overnight, and then literally they just all of a sudden just had these wrinkles, just day and night? No progression, no gradual appearance of fine lines and wrinkles the way that normal people do, but just overnight. Has it ever worked? Is there anyone that can be that badly cursed by you? I'm sorry, okay, listen. The common grace of God is all over creation, guys. Witchcraft does not work on everything and everyone, whether or not they're Christian. Why? Because God said so. The Lord is not going to let you just envy the girl in your school and age her 30 years overnight. And then she rocks up the next day looking like freaking Junior. You know that movie Junior? Robin Williams? Have your best friend come to school the next day looking like a 40-year-old man in high school. Like, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Because the common grace of God is all over society, but there's these blue-collar creeps with their below-the-belt sorcery that find a beautiful woman, look at a pretty girl on the internet, and then are like, wang bora, and then start to shake on the spot, and then overestimate the power of their sorcery, and afflict the woman with a nightmare at most, but really, not much more, where she wakes up having aged a good 60 years overnight. Strangers on the internet, strangers. There was this show on Netflix that I watched some time ago called The Island. And on the show The Island, there is this woman that has entered into this island, which is a supernatural space, in her 20s. When she gets out, she's in her 50s or something. But like, she's been put in some artificial intelligence simulator that keeps on running her life as a 20-year-old woman. And when she finally gets off that island, they remove what chip was in her brain or body to show her what she really looks like in the mirror, and then she sees like this aged woman, and it's very heart-wrenching to see that. Like, your heart will sink, because she goes from being this beautiful young 20 to 30-something-year-old woman to looking like 60 overnight. Imagine waking up after 30 years have progressed. When you first got into a coma, you were 30, and now you're 60 and you've got all these wrinkles. It's a shock type of stuff that would kill you. And this woman in the movie, the show The Island, was like that. She found herself all of a sudden all grown, all aged, and all of her youth was squandered because she was put in some cryopreservation artificial intelligence simulation that kept her thinking she was 29, 30, 31, 35 all this time. I keep getting dreams on repeat of being like that woman in the movie or show, limited series on Netflix, The Island, where it is that I am apparently literally in some artificial intelligence simulator, and I will be pretty until I get out into the world, the real world, and then I will age overnight. I will wake up and realize that I've got all these wrinkles, that I've lost all my youth. When has that ever worked for you? Which is, your experimentation is astronomical. It is through the roof. When has that ever worked? Do you know anybody that's made like Junior in the movie Junior, and rocked up in high school the next day being all 40 years old in matric, when just yesterday she was 18? Has that ever happened? Has it ever worked? Has it? Please, like, come on, give me some case studies. Give me evidence. Give me footage. I don't think so, because God, His common grace, applies to make sure that these blue-collar randos that happen upon the magic wand find out that witchcraft works, don't get what they want. Because you will literally age every pretty girl in the school overnight. Every chick on university campus that rejects you as a guy is gonna wake up in the morning looking 48 when she's just a 19-year-old student. It would happen across the board. I'm pretty sure witches, once they happened upon the sorcery thinking they can do anything with it, have experimented on their exes like no man's business, trying to do stuff to them, and when it didn't work, they are like, I guess you gotta try. A guy's gotta try, it's gotta try, it's gotta try. Doesn't work, but it doesn't stop them from trying. And you have gotten me gazed upon by psychopathic little cannibals like Hannibal Lecter. Clarice, you naughty girl. Yeah, I feel like I am Clarice in Silence of the Lambs at this point. The way that I am being gazed upon by such psychopathic buffoons. They're crazy, like blue-collar witches that can do nothing but concentrate on this dark stuff. Sorcery at this height, at this grandiosity, tends to be practiced by poverty-stricken people, poor people who want a get-rich-quick scheme, some way to get themselves out of the squalor, experiment with it so exorbitantly until there is nothing but a fraction of themselves remaining. They stay poor, they remain in these slums, and yet they practice grander and grander amounts of sorcery because they were made to see witchcraft working in one little small respect, and now all they can do is terrorize the community. This guy in the US is fresh out of prison. He's lost everything, lost his first and second wife, so many things that he has lost, and so all he can do is focus on witchcraft because nobody's looking at him with favor anymore. He is a deadbeat zombie. Everybody undermines him now because of the life that he used to have that is no more. And so people like those in all of that poverty, all of that squalor, all of that loss, all of that want, all of that lack, all of that loss of respect, they're the ones that get super addicted to witchcraft because they think they can restore themselves to happiness and peace, joy, anything at all using sorcery. So they become super freaking blue collar with their witchcraft. They do spells like make her age overnight. They do spells like you're going to be mine no matter what. They continue to keep trying. And I am being looked at, unfortunately, living in an era where internet is becoming increasingly cheap. You go to the mall and you can stream videos all day long. People that can't even afford Wi-Fi but nonetheless are able to stream on my videos because they keep on going to Southgate Mall are literally casting spells on me to see if they can't get me. You have drawn drones of zombies to me, like a mindless drones of zombies to me that are blue collar. They do spells like age her 50 years overnight because they don't have realism. They're so poverty stricken, they're in so much squalor, they've lost so much, there's such littleness in their lives that this is all they have left. Don't you see? Don't you see? That's why I'm so severely targeted by HIV positive men. They're telling themselves that this is the way that I can get a good woman. Like when you test positive for HIV and you feel like all of your prospects for romance have fled out the window because people still regard the disease as stigmatic. They look at it and they think it's a taboo. When a person is irrational upon testing positive for HIV, every so often, they tell themselves that they will still manage to date as they used to in the past. Get whatever woman they want in the past, just because they can control them with spells. Cause a woman to just be content with being with him despite the fact that she's negative and she does not want to be with a positive guy for a myriad of reasons. She does not want to have to struggle with sex. She does not want to have to struggle with the risk. She doesn't want to have to struggle with falling pregnant, all that stuff that like all yeah. She gets to choose. She gets to choose. She gets to choose. If she wants to be with you when you're positive, do you, girl. You're more mature than me, frankly. Never mind mature, but you're braver. I don't want an HIV positive guy for no other reason than the fact that I want to fall pregnant. I want to have her liberty sexually with my husband without having to worry too much. And I also don't want to consume chronic medication when I don't have a chronic illness. And when you're with an HIV positive person, you have to consume chronic medication. I've always been scared of HIV, and I've always been heavily preventative of it from back even when I was still a fornicator. When I came to Christ, that became the be-all and end-all of the prevention is better than cure. I'm abstinent. I'm not having sex. That is the biggest pill to prevent HIV. Having waited 13 years in celibacy for a husband, an HIV positive man that was fornicating like no man's business all over these streets, now wants me, feels entitled to me, and imagines he is feasibly going to be able to take me because he knows witchcraft. That is a blue-collar criminal right there. Petty theft, random stealing because you're hungry in the ghetto type witchcraft. Not sophisticated like Pablo Escobar's criminal syndicate, drug syndicate, Sinaloa cartel. No, not sophisticated white collar crimes, but blue collar. Because witches, you literally are segregated into blue collar, categorized into blue collar and white collar criminals. On one end, you are too smart, you imagine, and too mature and too sophisticated as sorcerers and sorceresses to cast a stupid age her overnight spell, because you kind of know that it's not going to work. But in so being what you call a sophisticated white collar cartel boss type witch. You literally have got these runners that are blue collar, happy to do kills for you, trigger happy, shooting at whim without any regard for human life. No sense at all. You are all one big fat crime syndicate, and some of your criminals are trigger happy randos that keep on shooting, killing, exposing the whole operation because they are trigger happy and bloodthirsty. All of these blue collar witches all over the show are drawn to your victims because of the kingdom that sends them. Those that are blapa, those that are bodlapa, tactless, are all up in our grill. However, having been sent by all of y'all that imagine yourselves a little neater than that. You put a handkerchief on your neck when you eat. You're gentrified. You know what spoon to use with the soup, and you know not to eat when you are full because you're sophisticated as a gangster. But then you have sent me blue collar mongrels. And like the Pied Piper of Hamilton, all I can do every single day is play the flute in order to get rid of all the rodents of the occult, including the white collar ones. My ministry is here to literally exsanguinate all of you from the town. All of you are going to get bombed out of the town because even the white collar among you are reasonable in a way that the guy in America just isn't. He's not reasonable. He's mentally insane. So if at all he were to kill his victims, he would be regarded as criminally insane. But you guys are not criminally insane. You are ricocheting a bullet on the surface of the water, and people are getting killed on the other side. And courts are about to drop the gavel, judges saying, you're guilty. Why? Because you were reasonable. You ought to have foreseen that by casting so many dastardly spells against a woman, that she would eventually end up pursued even by blue-collar criminals. You ought to have foreseen that by expecting a woman not to marry right, by casting spells on her to make sure that she struggles in romance, to make sure that she does not date as well as she was dating before when she was with you, you ought to have foreseen that you very potentially are drawing to her psychopaths, wife beaters, killers, freaks that try to age a woman 20 years overnight. People that, if they can't get what they want, they just shoot because they're trigger happy. People that do human sacrifice rituals as their first spell, as their first price. If a woman doesn't want to be with him, he just kills her. As opposed to you, who the ex-girlfriend of which passes away from suicide because you blocked her life so badly that she eventually did it. Yours is a murder that is removed by several degrees of separation, whereas you have charged to her particular backyard. Some people that are out there doing it in first degree murder, like in your face, but that's just what they want. Jolalina, be with me, and if you don't want to, just die. Like my ex-boyfriend sent me psychopaths. He ought to have seen that. You ought to have seen that. My former best friend, my former friends, they sent me psychopaths. People who wanted me married but not as well. They sent me wife beaters. Kinds of guys to go and throw a woman off a building and then go on right ahead and eat pizza. You've sent that to me. And these men keep on investing so much sorcery in me, in my particular case. Because like I said, they're blue collar. Like poverty-stricken people living in Mkuku in Deep Sluit that keep on casting spells on everybody, and yet they maintain in Mkuku. They're still living in the slums of Deep Sluit. They're strangely not able to get out from that from that poverty, and yet they can't stop bewitching everybody. All they end up being is the creep. All they end up being is the bane of that particular community's existence. All they end up being is suspected by the community for practicing witchcraft, and all they end up being is killed by angry villagers because they are sick and tired of this experimental creep. That's what's going on. Y'all are part of the same cartel. You're part of the same criminal syndicate. It's just that some of y'all are higher up. And those who are higher up, you think you are sophisticated and different from those who are lower down. But they are literally coming at your beck and call, at your charge, because they're incontinent, they're impetuous in ways that you aren't. They're happier to shed blood than you. They're quick, swift. It's written in God's word that these things God considers an abomination, feet that are swift to shed innocent blood. These ones are swift to shed innocent blood. They quickly kill. Quickly. In ways that all of y'all out here twirling on a swirling chair in corporate South Africa, feeling all great that you got the promotion after doing a ritual. You who are gentrified, you who are elevated above what you call amateur sorcery, you are the one who charges all of these amateur sorcerers all up in my grill. You're the ones that are sending deadbeat random homicidal creeps to insist on being with me, and they cannot be reasoned with because they've got a psychological disorder, they've got a dementia, they have got a psychosis, a schizophrenia, I don't know what you want to call it. They have got some kind of a neurosis, do you understand? And they feel entitled to a woman that wants nothing to do with them. I cannot speak with them, I can't negotiate. Some of y'all keep on asking yourselves, why does this chick keep talking about these guys? No, but you see, that's the thing. When you are bombarded by this thing, it's actually tormentive. It's tormenting. It's all up in your grill. It eats you alive. It gnaws away at your flesh. Do you understand? You dream about it, and on top of that, there's the physical symptoms. You are dragging your body through the mud all day long. You are heavy, you're inebriated, you are attacked. When demons are in operation, you will feel it physically. And I am being tormented by persistent fools I will never be with because y'all who are white collar sent them to me. The reasonable man ought have foreseen that this would totally happen. And all of y'all white collar beasts are reasonable in ways that these blue collar ones aren't. So you are culpably responsible even for their travesties, for their crimes. You have made a deadbeat gangster blabba experimental with every spell in the spell book, witches. Focus on your victims until some of them pass away. But as for me, we don't do passing away. We do waiting on Christ. He has given me authority under heaven to trample on serpents and scorpions and over all the path of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means harm me. I am going to conquer this. The weapons of my warfare, they're not carnal, but they're mighty in God for the pulling down of this nasty, incessant, blue-collar stronghold that you've put all up in my grill. I will lambaste first and foremost the little mini order Satanists that are all up in my grill. But blue-collar, then I'm coming for you. Upmarket ones. All of y'all that are in the higher echelons of society, I am going to uproot you too. I am going to literally massacre you as well. You put me in a position to go to war with you, and now you're all intimidated by whatever under heaven I have become. I am going to beat this. I'm going to conquer it. The guy in America is 5 seconds away from a casket. Him and all these other random lay no-brainers. I don't know who you are, but you're gross, you're disgusting. You might not heed me right now because, like I said, blue-collar, unsophisticated, entirely psychotic. There is no reasoning with you, and so because I cannot reason with you and your simplicity makes it impossible for me to continue to speak with you because you are obtuse. I am, however, going to knock you out by mere virtue of waiting on Christ. He's going to blow them out the way. And once they've moved out the way, the Lord is going for the crime bosses of the country. The Lord is coming for you bigger order Satanists. All of y'all running entire covens. All of y'all running cults, ruining entire countries. Yeah, then he's coming for you. But not first before killing little rodents stuck in plumbing, making sure you're not getting fresh running water every single day. He's first going for the rodents. The guy in America is a rodent. This random other buffoon, I don't even know who he is. Just some dude. He's gonna, they're gonna be killed. That's what I'm getting at. They're gonna pass away if they don't repent. But then next is you. You are going to be judged. You are already under judgment. It's just it's a process. That's what I'm getting at. It's a process. You sent beasts in my direction, endured me through a decade of suffering and sorrow. You who take pride in the fact that South Africa does not regulate sorcery, you are about to be humiliated for causing so much chaos in this already chaotic country. You did this to South Africa, witches. I can't say that enough. You might want to attribute or accrue all that which has fallen apart in the country to all other things but you. But your spiritual manipulation in the back end of people's lives has literally devastated our economy, devastated our parliament, our state of the nation, our electric grid. You have devastated women by causing men to kill them. All of the problems that you can think about, unemployment, gender-based violence, disease, increase in HIV, infections in the country, is because of you. You are literally puppet masters on strings, manipulating marionettes that have no idea that you're manipulating them. You have infected more people with HIV than is absolutely necessary because of your spells, where it is that drones that are HIV positive are flooding to them because some stupid ex-boyfriend cast a spell on his ex-girlfriend to get HIV, and so all that can shella her now are HIV positive guys. That's what is happening with me. My ex-boyfriend cast a spell on me to make sure that I get HIV, so I am being pursued hotly by positive men. That's how it works. And ultimately, if all that's sheltering you in these streets is HIV positive men, you will find one eventually that you're attracted to, you will date him, and then you will end up sleeping with him, perhaps without a condom, and then end up diseased. So herein lies your ex-boyfriend getting exactly what he wants. So you've infected the country with a disease that the country's trying to eradicate. Proper. All the issues we have. are not getting fixed because of sorcery. Because of these randos, unemployment is directly linked to spells on people's careers, messing with their prospects for the future. It's also responsible for the skills diaspora, for people being sick and tired of working in this country. Yeah, gender-based violence is all of this korobela, all of this forceful be with me or else. There is literally witchcraft behind every problem we have in this country. It's all spiritual. And absent of y'all repenting, thinking that you ain't got your hand in how destroyed our country is, God is gonna finish you off. I told you, I'm coming for you. Rest of y'all random higher echelon people in this country that are running it with a magic wand, lacking intelligence. You're simple. You're obtuse in the worst way. I find you daft. Cause why are you destroying your own countries? Where are you gonna eat? Where are you gonna poop? Where are you gonna smoke a cigarette? Where are you gonna schnoff that line of cocaine since you're a junkie even though you're a whole CEO? Where? When you have completely decimated your own country. Sorcery has destroyed South Africa. I can't say that enough. And all of y'all ought to have foreseen that this would happen because you're reasonable. You're reasonable. You ought to have foreseen that you have culpably killed South Africa. And one day I'm gonna prove it. But not from here. I'm leaving the country. I've been saying it for a minute. I'm exhausted from all of your spells, but it doesn't matter, because Christ has given me victory already. I just first need to knock out all these lower order, amateur randos are like little rodents chewing at your toes while you sleep at night because there's an infestation. First I gotta shoot them dead. Then once they're gone, I'm coming for you. I'm signing out in Christ's name, Kranke. Bye.